Today is the 30th episode of the Builder Nation podcast. I wanted to close out this first, season of the podcast with a 30 lessons I have learned in the first 30 years of my life. I'm realizing that it's not very difficult to get rich, but what is difficult is to get rich while also having positive relationships, understanding yourself, making sure that you're creating your life around what you want rather than putting your life around what the business is. A no is a gift, a yes is a gift, a maybe is just a tax on your future. Saving $1 is not the same as making $1. And what I mean by that is when you save $1, that is already taxed income. And when you make $1, that is taxed income. I tell people all the time, give me a spreadsheet, in 30 seconds I'll make you $1 million, because it's very easy to tweak numbers on a spreadsheet. Books are great until they become a waste of your time. Knowledge with no action is good. It's, if information was the key to a six-pack, everyone would have one. You don't know somebody really well until you have money problems.
We all get the same 24 hours. So why is it that some people build so much more with them? I'm Brian Koons, and this is the Builder Nation podcast, where we talk to top performers, entrepreneurs, and visionaries to uncover the architecture of a meaningful and fulfilling life. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to the Builder Nation podcast. Today, I'm excited to be here as the first solo episode of the podcast for a couple of reasons, and I'm excited to share with you guys. Today is the 30th episode of the Builder Nation podcast, and I am actually turning 30 this next month. And because of that kind of combination of exciting factors, I wanted to close out this first, season of the podcast with a 30 lessons I have learned in the first 30 years of my life to hopefully give you guys, whether you're younger than me, my age, or older than me, some tangible takeaways that I have learned that have gotten me to a point where obviously there are people way more successful than I am, but I'm very happy with where I'm at in life from a health standpoint, a fitness standpoint, my family, my relationships, my financial situation, my freedom, because I think I've done a lot of things fundamentally well. And so today I want to kind of share with you guys a lot of that foundational stuff that I've learned. I've tried to synthesize it down into the most actionable, practical stuff that's not just top of funnel, just boring stuff, but really give you guys the stuff that's helped me over the past 30 years of walking this earth, get to where I can have this conversation with you here. So without further ado, let's get in the podcast. So first thing I want to do is give you guys a little bit of background on the podcast and how it's kind of shifted over time. So when I got into the podcast and I started initially filming the episodes, I found out very quickly it was way easier to film episodes than it was to get those episodes out. And so I filmed a lot with amazing people, but I filmed almost all of the episodes in probably about a 45 to 60 day window. And it was really, really fast. So I didn't really have any time to get any feedback on things. And I very quickly realized how difficult it was once you recorded something to actually getting the podcast out. So getting edited, getting all the shorts, getting the thumbnails, getting all the information needed, posting out all the platforms, and kind of the lag time across all of that. And that was something that happened where essentially I started getting out these episodes, but there was a good amount of time in between when I started recording these and when they actually when I've gotten to this point now where I'm all at episode 30. So a lot has taken place in those couple of months in between when I recorded and when I've actually been able to post all of these. So a ton of learning lessons, a ton of feedback from the audience and from people who are listening to this, so thank you for all the people that are listening to this in the very beginning. I know that, it's been growing for sure on all of it, but throughout that, I've kind of gotten a lot more solidification on really what I want this podcast to be and how I want it to help people. And for me, I have really gotten a lot of learning from people who are, are operators who are really in the business of real estate, a lot of development people, which has been really, really awesome. But as I kind of go into this next chapter of not only my own life, but just kind of as a whole based on the feedback that I've gotten, I really want this podcast to not only be, super tactical on, how to grow a business or whatever, but foundationally cover all the different areas of your life. So your relationships, your social wealth, your physical wealth, your financial wealth, your mental health, all of these different factors. There's a book called Five Pillars of Wealth that really resonated with me, and it's a similar foundational concept to, if you've heard of PERMA, it's a psychological product or a philosophy around life fulfillment and these different areas of your life that each one factors into your overall life fulfillment. So being happy, for example, is only one piece of this bigger puzzle. And because of that, as I'm starting to, get into this next chapter of my own life, of starting my own company and understanding who I am as a real estate developer, as an entrepreneur, as an independent person in this world, a lot of growing is happening, and I'm realizing that it's not very difficult to get rich. But what is difficult is to get rich while also having positive relationships, while also being in shape, while also understanding yourself and the people around you, and making sure that you're creating your life around what you want rather than putting your life around what the business is. So a lot of this podcast is going to be about overall life fulfillment and building a better life as a person. So the concept is, the best way that I can explain it is, getting rich is easy, but getting wealthy is difficult. And that's what we're going to focus on. So pieces of that are real estate, development, business, all of those pieces, but there's also going to be pieces around how to have better relationships, how to love yourself, how to, people traveling and having, businesses where they can go explore and things like that. So that's really what this is going to be going forward. And it's, obviously going to shape over time. So anyone who, has feedback, please share, because I'm just going to continue trying to get better and better and better guests on who have more life experiences and amazing stories to give you guys tactical, tangible things while I'm learning myself and growing myself, because this is, kind of selfish in a way. I want to learn from these people. I think that people like this who are doing really, really well in certain pieces of this have a ton to share, and that's what I want to get out of them to hopefully share with all of you guys. So that's where it is going forward. But for now, I'm going to give you guys, like I said, the top 30 things that I've learned in the first 30 years of my life. So the first one is, getting to a no is good. Getting to a yes is good. But getting to a maybe is a waste of your time. So I've been in sales now throughout my time, being in this development space for almost 5 years now. And people are indecisive will only waste your time. A no is a gift, a yes is a gift. A maybe is just a tax on your future. It makes it difficult for you to spend the time with the people in your life that are a yes. You've heard the term, if something's not a hell yes, it's a no. And it's very similar here. So the more you can get to yeses in any conversation you're having, or no's in any conversation you're having, the better off you're going to be and the faster you're going to have more time for yourself. Number 2 is, saving $1 is not the same as making $1. And what I mean by that is, when you save $1, that is already taxed income. And when you make $1, that is taxed income. So when I initially got into the Marine Corps, I was not making a ton of money, but I was saving maliciously. I was saving so much money. And what I realized was that spending power is so much more powerful when you're actually able to save it rather than go make more money in the beginning. I think that's a very important thing, is you have to get your life overhead as low as possible first, save up the money, and then you can start investing in it. So depending on where you're at in your life, first thing is to start saving more money, save up that nest egg, and then you can start investing. I see a lot of people who start buying nice cars, they start buying nice houses and things before they kind of get their own spending in life in check and understand what's actually valuable, before they start spending and investing on things that will make more money long term. So solve the first one first, use it to build the second one. Number 3 is, if a deal doesn't make sense on the back of the napkin, it doesn't make sense. Being in real estate development, I have learned that if you have to fudge numbers, it's probably not a good deal. I have seen so many projects where somebody becomes an underwriting spreadsheet warrior. I tell people all the time, give me a spreadsheet, in 30 seconds I'll make you $1 million, because it's very easy to tweak numbers on a spreadsheet. But if you can't go on the back of the napkin and say, all right, it's going to be about this much money to build, going to be about this much money, to get it to the finish line. Here's probably how much it's worth. Okay, cool. Yeah, we make money on this. Probably not the best deal in the world. And that has been something where, I've learned more and more, the more complex something is, the less likely it is to actually be fundamentally good. So that's another one that I have learned is very valuable. And to this day, that's pretty much every deal I've ever bought has been back of the napkin and been validated that I bought. So very, very important one. Number 4 is that sleep is the most underrated thing for long-term health. And so what I mean by that is when I was a drill instructor in the Marine Corps, I got so little sleep. It was insane. Like I got like 2 to 4 hours a night pretty much every night for months at a time. I felt like shit. I could not concentrate. My health was bad. It was terrible. And over time, I've just seen so many studies and so many people older in life that just every single one is like, sleep is one of the most important things you could possibly do for yourself. And that's 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep every night. People say, oh, how do you wake up so early? It's because I go to bed early. That's a huge thing. So if you are not prioritizing your sleep, over time, you will be so much worse off. Your hormones will not be as good or as in check. You have more hours in the day that you can binge eat food. It's harder to wake up and go to the gym in the morning, and there's all these pervasive things associated with it. So that is something that if you can start getting your sleep in check, you will notice other things in your life going better as well. And number 5, train like your body needed another 60 years. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I've been going to the gym for over a decade now. But at first, I was super into like lifting heavy, especially like deadlift. Deadlift was my best lift out of all of my lifts, and so that was something where I was super into it. I was lifting like 445. It was like almost like 3 times my body weight at that point, which is a pretty good weight for my size. But I realized that after I got a hernia because of it, and just noticed my body not recovering as well, and more achy and things like that. It just, no one's gonna care 30 years from now about a marginally higher amount of weight that you're lifting. So focus on mobility, focus on flexibility, focus on actual quality range of motion, building muscle in a progressive overload fashion, solid rep ranges. And you're going to be 50, 60, 70 years old and so much better off than if you were just trying to lift as much weight as you could just to show off for somebody. I don't exactly know who that would be. So that's another one. Number 6 is that it is not hard to be in shape. You just have to learn it once. So I was super into fitness when I was in the Marine Corps. I actually was going to school for exercise science for a couple of years, and I used my own body as the guinea pig for a lot of these things. So I had gained 20 plus pounds. I lost 20 plus pounds multiple times. I had a bunch of different issues with eating and, kind of messing with my relationship with food and learning a lot through the process. But really, once I understood generally what foods had proteins, fats, and carbs, and kind of how much I had to eat, what it felt like at amounts of foods I was eating, and how my body felt, how much exercise I needed to do, things like that. It's been very easy to sustain a relatively similar amount of body weight since that. So once you understand it, you start to gain control, and you say, okay, hey, I'm looking a little bit fluffy. Let's eat more protein for the next couple weeks or something. You don't even have to really change your diet, and that's something I've done where I'm able to do that now pretty easily. If I feel like I've gained a couple extra pounds and I need to lose it, hey, cool. I literally just walk a little bit more. I eat more protein, and I realize that it's okay to be hungry for the first couple hours of the day. So that's another one. Like, learn to do it once. Learn to manipulate your body how you want it to be. And after that, you won't get fat again. If you actually gain control of it, you'll see the problem and you'll fix it every time. So number 7, controlling lead measures, not focusing on lag measures. So that goes for every area of your life. People have asked me a lot what my goal is, or what my goals are. And I honestly don't know, like whether it be life, whether it be finances, whatever. I'm not really focused on that. I know generally I want to make a lot of money. I want to be in good shape. I want to travel. I want to have good family life, all these things. So I focus on the things day in and day out that I can do about that. So I call my brother, I call my parents, I talk to my family on a regular basis. I go to the gym every single day. I get 10,000 plus steps pretty much every day. I get 8 hours of sleep. I make it a point to travel at least a few times a year. I spending my day to day on my business. All these pieces that I know, as long as I'm doing these, I can make pivots as I go, but they will be so much more useful long term and get me to where I'm wanting to go, or give me the flexibility to adjust where I want to go, as long as I'm handling the fundamentals. Number 8, it's okay to be sad or upset, but to the level that you need to be, not more. So this is a stoic, I'm fairly into stoicism, and this is a kind of stoic philosophy where you're allowed to feel feelings, but feel them at the level you need to get over it and then move on. You cannot control external factors. You can't choose how people think. You can't choose what happens to other people. You can only choose to do what you can control. And it's okay if something makes you sad, if a family member passes away, something like that. It's okay to be upset, but be upset and then continue on. It's not going to make it better by being more upset. Number 9, your thoughts are not you. So this is one, I've read a couple good books. One of them is Eckhart Tolle. God, what is it? The Power of Now. Cannot remember why I couldn't think of that. It's The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And that book talks about the separation of you from your ego. So basically that little thought in the back of your mind of, oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you suck. Oh, like why that person doesn't like you or whatever. Those are just thoughts. And the way that I've been able to think about it is I think about it almost as like a little kid. So that thought has its thought of, oh, you suck, or oh, you're fat, or oh, whatever. And then you just look at it, you're like, okay, yep, little buddy. Okay, cool. Anyway, I'm going to continue on with my life now. And that's helped a lot. It's something that you have to practice over and over and over again. But over time, it starts to get quieter and quieter. And you start to be able to just say, yep, that's just a thought, and let's go move on with our time. Number 10, tell people how you feel. I have noticed in both, relationships and also, family and work and everything, just share how you feel. If you miss somebody, tell them. If you say, hey, I think we need to hang out more, tell them. If you say, hey, I really like you. I'd like you to, I want to go out with you again. Just tell them. It's similar to the first one where it's like, getting to a yes or getting to a no is good. Getting to a maybe is not good. So tell people how you feel, and whether it be good or bad, you're going to have your answer and you're going to be able to move forward one way or another. Number 11, in relationships, it is you and the other person versus the problem, not you versus them. This is one of the biggest ones. Does not matter if it's business, family, your relationship with a significant other. It does not matter. It is never you versus them. It is you guys versus the issue. So the more you can realize that, the more you can stay away from you statements, the more you can stay away from saying things that just are adversarial, not trying to solve a problem, the better off you're going to be. Number 12 is that you can intentionally create friendships. This is something I didn't really realize, but it's not weird to just, make sure that you call your friend once a month or set a reminder in your calendar to send your family member a gift, or to intentionally say, hey, I haven't hung out with this person in a while, like, let me go reach out to them. People want that. I get so much joy when somebody calls me out of the blue. And I didn't really realize that. As you get older, people don't do that. So you do have a little bit of say in the people that you hang out with long term. And hopefully anyone who's listening to this, that like, if I call you, bro, it's because I love you, man. And yeah, I have realized that 20, 30 years from now, it's not going to be the people that I'm going to have a say in who I continue relationships with. It's not just going to be accidental. Number 13, you learn more from bad leaders than you learn from good ones. When I was a drill instructor, I had so many leaders that I never wanted to emulate. And I learned more from them on what not to do than the ones that I learned what to do. And that is something that I think defines a lot of good leaders is, hey, this thing happened to me, or I saw this thing happen, so there is no way that I would let it happen to you. Where I think a lot of other people, their thought process is, oh, well, this thing happened to me, so like suck it up, it's not that bad. I know exactly what you've been through, so like it's fine. I made it through. And that, to me, is a huge distinguishing factor between what a good leader is and a bad leader is. Number 14 is have non-negotiables in your day. So this is very similar to the book Atomic Habits, where they talk about, having cornerstone habits in your day. And those cornerstone habits are things where as long as you do this thing, your day is set up for success. So, one people talk about is like making their bed, eating a healthy breakfast, whatever it is, right? For me, it's going to the gym. As long as I go to the gym in the morning, the rest of my day is set up. I've already done at that point, just by that thing happening, so many things, because I've then started a habit stack on top of that one cornerstone habit. I eat better. I go through my emails. I practice Spanish. I get my workout in. I burn calories. I drink water. All these things happen because of this one single habit. So find that in your day, add it, and be relentless that it is a non-negotiable. Your entire life, your entire day is planned around that thing. You do not waver on that, whatever that thing is or those things are, and you'll be so much better off. All right, number 15 is low life overhead creates freedom. So I've had a very unique opportunity where obviously I don't have any kids at this point. I have relatively low overhead in life, but that has been intentionally designed. I don't have a car payment. I live in a very modest space that is not super big. It's not super expensive. And I don't really have significant overhead across anything else in my life aside from my investments and travel maybe. And what that does is that allows me to have the freedom to where I quit my job last year and to go off and start my own business. And I had this runway where I was able to explore and try new things. And I wasn't just like, oh my God, I need to get this done tomorrow, or I need to be making X amount of money tomorrow, regardless of how we do it, because I have a mortgage payment and car payments and all these things. So the lower you can keep your life overhead, and obviously kids and spouses and things make it more difficult, but relative to where you're at, the more freedom you're going to have.
Hey guys, if you're a business owner, high income earner, or investor who's been thinking about getting into real estate development but don't have the time to manage the process, this is for you. My company partners with people like you to help unlock the potential of your properties or even source and manage new small scale development projects. We manage hundreds of ADUs and infill development projects across Southern California, and our team knows how to simplify the process so you can benefit from the upside without managing contractors, permits, or design headaches. Whether you want to develop your own property, explore ways to offset taxes, or just learn how the development model works, head to thebuildernation.com/partner. That's thebuildernation.com/partner, and see how we can help you build more with the same 24 hours. Now back to the show.
So number 16, when you're learning, partner with other learners. So when I first got into real estate development, I didn't really have that much knowledge on it, and I didn't have enough money to do it. I really only had some time and a little bit of money. So instead of saying, hey, I have time, I'm going to fake it till I make it and go raise money from people, I actually found other people that were in similar positions. They didn't really know what they were doing. They had a little bit of time and they had a little bit of money. And we were able to pull that together and buy our first investment property. So rather than trying to sell yourself as an expert in the beginning without having the background in execution, we found a couple people that all were kind of like, hey, we're learning this. We got some money. Like, let's figure it out together. And it allowed us to come together with, pieces of the full skill set to get deals done. And that allowed us to learn and get into it way faster without over risking a project or raising capital from somebody potentially or bring somebody in at the expense of basically, lying on the experience that we had. So very, very important. Anytime you're getting a new skill set, find other people looking to do the same thing if you're missing pieces of making a deal happen. Number 17 is that the operating agreement that you put in place with any partners you have is not an agreement, it is a disagreement agreement. So getting things on paper, it does not matter how good of friends you think you are with them. It does not matter how much you trust them. Have it put on paper and make it clear. Get an attorney, pay the couple $100 or the few $100 to look over the thing, make sure there's no gotchas, make sure all the questions are answered. Because I can speak from experience, when you don't get things on paper, it can be a pain in the ass to get it on paper if people weren't under the same handshake understanding. Number 18 is you don't know somebody really well until you have money problems. So I have seen a lot of times when money becomes an issue in partnerships, that's when people's true colors shine. Everything's good when you're making money, but the second that you aren't, or the second that things get tight, that's where you see where your relationships really are. So I've been really lucky up to this point. I've had amazing partners and we've been through some shit, but we've been able to handle it. And so I've been very, very lucky across all my partnerships that even when shit gets hard, like, they're good people. But that's something, if I've seen other sides of it with other people's partners, where when things get tight, it does not end well. So make sure that you get things to the other point on paper. You understand what happens in certain situations. So that way, when money gets tight, they do not have the ability to show true colors that potentially are not good. Number 19 is that you don't have to be the expert. You just need to know the questions to the right expert. So when I got into real estate, it was 2 weeks from when I decided I'm going to buy real estate to when I bought real estate, like literally middle of May to June 5th. The reason why is because I knew enough of what to ask over the course of those couple of weeks. And I said, all right, cool. I understand the concept. I understand the types of properties. I know how to underwrite them. And then I found somebody who was it was called Bigger Pockets. It was, this real estate investing platform. He was very well rated, very highly reviewed by everyone on on the platform, and I said, hey, like, you know what you're doing, you've done it before, can you help me? And he helped me get into the first deal, and it was super easy. So I realized very quickly that, along with the first piece of land that we bought, which was a very short time period, you don't need to know everything. Just know the right questions to ask and know who to ask them to. And that will be what you need to get in the game. And then from there, you can continue learning. Number 20 is time, money, and knowledge are the things that it takes to make a deal happen. And if you have one, you can get the others. So when I got into real estate development, I guess I really had time, but I didn't really have money or knowledge. I had a little bit of money, but not really any knowledge. And over time, I used that time to get the knowledge. You can do it by, for me, it was reading municipal code. You can go intern for somebody. You can go work for somebody for free, whatever it is, to gain the knowledge. And once you start getting the time and the knowledge, or if you have the money, go find somebody with the time and knowledge, put all three of those together, and that's how you can make deals happen, because people value each one of those pieces differently depending on where they're at in their life. So for me, like, I work with people with a lot of money who are making a ton of money in their job as a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is, software sales, software, does not matter, who want to get into real estate development but don't have the time or the knowledge to do it themselves. So they partner with us, and I execute the deals. I find the deal, I execute the project, they get to invest that money, they get the tax benefits, things like that. Because you need all three, and each one of those things is different depending on where you're at in your own life. Number 21 is to go work for a company to gain a skill set and then build a monetizable skill. So for me, I got out of the military, the Marine Corps, and I started working at essentially it was a development company. It was a design and permitting company in San Diego that I got to see over 500 ADU projects while I worked there, while I was going through my own projects. And I just got so many reps, and I realized that, at the risk of making slightly less money in a job that creates and gives you actual valuable skill sets for whatever you're trying to do, it's worth it. Because if you know that you're going to go gain this skill set and then over time start to create your own consultancy, go off and do your own thing, it's so much better to be in it day in and day out. Because imagine 8 hours a day for years on end, plus where you are day in and day out of a skill set. You're going to be so much further ahead than somebody that's just doing it after their day job. So even if you make a little bit less money in the interim, it is, to me, it's very worth it, especially if you haven't really gained a significant amount of skill in any specific job yet, to go get into this job where you're going to learn what you actually want to do and then create a monetizable skill set out of that. Number 22, books are great until they become a waste of your time. So I, during COVID, read probably 50 books in a year, and it was great. I learned so much throughout that, but at the same time, I realized that there was a lot of action I was not taking. So it became a waste of time at a certain point, where it was, knowledge with no action is good. It's, if information was the key to a six-pack, everyone would have one, is kind of how I think about it. So there's books that are valuable, but fundamentally, you need to be taking action throughout that time as well. Otherwise, they don't mean anything. Number 23, do not take advice from someone who has not been where you are trying to go. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I used to think that if somebody was not in shape, their opinion meant nothing. And I got to learn a lot of what was good in theory about that, but then also not good in theory about that. And I learned that, everyone's going to have an opinion of everything at all times, but you're trying to do, likely, if you're listening to this podcast, something that 99.9% of people don't do or don't have. So you shouldn't listen to 99.9% of people. And that's okay. You're going to be weird. You're going to be looked at as, strange, and that's fine. But find the people who are doing what you want to do, who are where you want to be. Listen to them and cut out the rest of the noise on it, because it'll make it harder if you continue trying to listen. Take it for what it's worth. Say thank you for the opinion, and then just move on. And number 24, the less context you have, the less likely your opinion is to be accurate. So I used to say, if somebody stayed in their hometown since they were in high school, their opinion did not mean as much to me, because they just lacked a lot of context in life. And so I guess, the more you can learn, the more you can travel, the more you can seek other opinions, understand other ways of living, the more grounded you're going to be, and the more context you're going to have to make better decisions for you and your life based on what's possible, rather than just what's in the little fishbowl you're in. Number 25, stack your habits. Goes back to one of the other ones we were talking about. I go to the gym every single morning, but I've found a way to create my morning around not just what I would call a morning routine, but specifically around an entire stack of habits that set up my day for amazing success. So when I get up in the morning, I will work on my computer for an hour or two. And that lets me go through all my emails, kind of clear my head of all the things, plan out my day, and be ready to go. And then from there, I will go to the gym. I listen to some Spanish since I've been learning Spanish for a little while now on the way to the gym. And then I will go I'll stretch, and then I'll go on the treadmill. So when I go on the treadmill or just whatever light cardio I want to be doing, I'll use that time to practice Spanish even more. And then from there, kind of handle any like ancillary stuff that I still need to get to. And from there, I will do my workout, and then I'll hit the sauna and I'll read for like 20 minutes and then get my day going. So by the time like 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning hits, by the time I'm done, I've worked for a few hours, I have hit the gym, I've done cardio, I've stretched, I've done the sauna, I've read, I've practiced Spanish, and I've like set up my day for I'm like, I could do nothing the rest of the day and be like better off than 99% of people. So finding a way to be able to like stack habits and make it to just as efficient as possible in the productive stuff in your day, the more that's just going to stack and the better off you're going to be. Number 26 is to play the infinite game. This is a book by Simon Sinek that talks about the rules of the game that you're playing by of life, aka success in life, are arbitrary. They're made up. No one decided who decided the rules of what success looks like. And really the goal is to play as long as you can under the rules that you want to put in place. So, I'm not worried about making X amount of money today. I'm worried about being able to be 20, 30, 40 years down the road and still be happy and still be able to do what I want to do, doing what I love, rather than just making X amount of money by this day of the quarter to make sure that we hit these returns for some reason. So that's a big one. Number 27 is there are 5 types of wealth, and money is just one of them. So this goes back to the book 5 Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom. It's a great book. It talks about these, the physical, mental, relationships, social, physical wealth, just all these like pillars that each one, if you visualized it on a pie chart, each one of those 5 has 20% of overall life fulfillment. You could be doing amazing in business and finance and be crushing it 100% in that 20%, but that's only 20%. So the more you can realize that, the more you can focus effort across all the different pieces and say, hey, like my physical wealth is not doing great right now. I need to spend time there. My business is great, but it's at, in 90% in that section right now. So, the law of diminishing returns is like, even if we increase margins and make more money, I'm still going to be out of shape or still be unhappy here. So like, let's focus here. And it's been able to guide me a lot better on how to make my decisions on what my priorities in life are, more so than just, hey, I need to make money, or hey, I need cash flow or financial freedom. It's freedom across all the different pillars. Number 28 is to tell the truth and deal with the consequences. Problems do not get easier the longer you wait, and they especially don't get better if you lie about them. So it doesn't matter what happens, it will be better in the long run by telling the truth and dealing with the consequences than it's going to be by trying to hide it or trying to get sneaky around it or whatever it is. And the more money you start to make, the more important that gets. Number 29 is being a good dude or dudette compounds. I have spent, I've been in San Diego now like 7 years, a little over 7 years. And I can confidently say that I've been what I would consider a good dude like the whole time. I've tried really hard to make sure that, I do what I say I'm going to do. I treat people with respect. I don't like talk, behind people's backs. I think it's shown. Like, I think that, at this point people have seen, like, I'm very happy with the amount of times I hear from other people like, oh yeah, like so-and-so was talking about you. Like they said, you're an awesome dude, or whatever it is. And that's something that compounds over time. So the longer period of time you can go without like doing things you probably shouldn't do or treating people the way they should not be treated, the better off you're going to be long term. And then to close out on number 30, get started. It doesn't matter if it's starting to get in shape. It doesn't matter if it's starting your own practice, getting into real estate investing, quitting the job to go pursue your own thing. Just get started. The first deal will teach you more than 100 books. Starting the business will teach you more than going to 100 meetups. Just get started and you will be better off 10 years down the road. So with that being said, this has hopefully been at least a little bit of a helpful episode to show you kind of everything that I've been learning. And we're going to take maybe a little short break in between the season 1 and season 2. But I'm really excited to keep growing with you guys, keep bringing on amazing guests, helping you guys build better lives for yourself and get truly wealthy, not just rich, and have an amazing time doing it. So that being said, see you guys in the next episode.
That's it for this episode of the Build a Nation podcast. If it gave you something to think about, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's leveling up. Until next time, keep building.